Health Diary, brought to you by Brookside Dairy Plus. Live Life Plus with Brookside.
Well, hello there. Good to see you right here on Health Diary. My name is Winnie Lubembe and we're coming to you from Arobisca Training Center. Today on the show, we'll be focusing on bone health in young children and young adults as well. Because as they say, the skeleton is an organ in the body that constantly undergoes regeneration. So the biggest question is, how do we make sure that we maintain good bone health, and especially in children and young adults? Well, let's find out after this fact of the matter. Bone health refers to the overall condition and strength of the human skeletal system, which is crucial for maintaining mobility, preventing fractures, and supporting overall well-being throughout life. It is influenced by various factors, including genetics, nutrition, physical activity, and hormonal balance. To ensure long bones in kids and young people, enough calcium from dairy, fortified foods and vegetables, and sufficient vitamin D are important. All right, let's talk about bone health, and we are focusing on children and young adults today on the show. Just a reminder that the show is sponsored by Brookside Plus, Live Life Plus. And as per usual, we have George here with us. George Amolo is the founder and president, Kenya Nutrition and Dietetic Students Association, KENSA. Hey, quite a mouthful. Good to see you, George.
Good to see you.
Been a while. How you been?
I've been well.
Helping people stay healthy and wealthy and all those things.
Of course.
It's good to see you. So we're focusing on bone health today in children and young adults as well. Why is it important? When we talk about bone health, I know it's a lot of things. We think arthritis, we think calcium deficiency and all those things. But really, what does it mean when we say bone health? And we're focusing now on the positive, good health in this case.
Okay, bone health is of great concern actually to young children and young athletes, because see, this is the point where their bone is developing, their skeletal muscle is developing, and apart from developing, it's also the time that it's trying to adapt to physical injuries. So it's very important that it is of optimum and it's very rich. And again, if you look at the young children and adults, there's something we call bone mineralization. So bone mineralization, both in children and adults, establishes what we call peak bone mass, the density of the bone. Peak bone mass is a critical determinant of a lifelong bone health. So you find if at your younger age, if your peak bone mass is not accumulated well, then it will lead to osteoporosis, fractures later in life. And that's why we usually say osteoporosis is a disease of the pediatrics. It begins from an early age. So if you see someone getting it at an older age, it means it began much earlier. Because it was not addressed when they were much younger. Because that is the time the bone is developing. And maybe to add on that, if you look at peak bone mass, approximately in females begins at 18 years of age. In male, 20 years of age. So it means if you really want to make any corrective measures on your bone, then that is the time to do it. If you miss it at that time, the adolescent period, then it will be there will be a lifelong problem later on. That's why it's critical for that age.
Absolutely. And we see bone issues, like you said, in older age, and we think, this is the disease for the older people. But what you're saying is sometimes it starts earlier. And it's not, attended to earlier. Of course, the results are worse later on. But for young kids, they're running around. It's like anything can happen. But aside from the falls and whatnot, what is like the biggest concern that most people would have, and especially for nutritionists like yourself, as far as bone health for young children? What are some of these conditions that maybe they are at risk of developing at a younger age?
At a younger age, you see what happens, like I said, the peak bone mass accumulation begins from the adolescent period. And peak bone mass simply means the strength and the density of the bone. So which means if it's not accumulated enough at that age, then you'll have what we call smaller bone bank. So the bone becomes much weaker. The integrity of the bone is much weaker. So which means you are prone to bone injuries, muscle weakness. You see, sometimes you find maybe you walk a little small distance, you feel pain, you feel tired. then you feel there's a reduction in endurance. Sometimes when you play sports, maybe football, you cannot make the 90 minute because your bone is much weaker, cannot withstand that pressure. That simply means there's a problem, and that should be a concern for parents.
Okay.
And that's why we are emphasizing that at that period, if there need to be any corrective measures, that is the time. And we look at what are the composition of a bone.
Yeah.
Now, if once we know the composition of a bone or what makes a bone much healthier and stronger, then we try to work on those in terms of food, supplementation, and any other ways.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was hoping you would tell us what's the bone composition, what it looks like, because most of us, we think bone, we think calcium.
Yes.
as the only thing. But there's a lot, right?
There's a lot.
Yeah.
And one of the most important nutrient is vitamin D.
Okay.
Now, why is vitamin D important? Vitamin D, in fact, is a very complex nutrient in the human body because it works on many tissues in the body. And one of the functions of vitamin D is calcium absorption. So which means if your vitamin D is inadequate, then even the calcium levels in your bone will be much reduced.
Okay.
So if vitamin D has a problem, your calcium will be a problem, your phosphorus will be a problem, so you'll have a complete bone issues.
Okay.
So that's why we start addressing vitamin D, then we look at calcium and the other nutrients that are beneficial for the bone.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So me, as a parent who does not know how to measure, like you said, the international one.
Yeah.
So how do I know? Is it like 1 cup a day of, say, I don't know, milk, or when it comes to food, which we'll talk about in a second. But then how do I know that my child is getting enough?
Okay, there are so many things that we do to come up to that and to make sure that they achieve that daily recommended allowance. There are so many calculations we do. You take their age, height, you look at their meal structure. So there are so many parameters that you can arrive to. And then even if they take their daily meals, there's what we call portion sizes, and you can estimate the number of nutrients to make sure that it measures up to that RDA. Now, and if you look at the sources, for instance, if you look at the source of vitamin D, as much as it's very important, sometimes to get it in that becomes a problem.
Right.
So that's why we encourage even fortified food. Fortification of food comes in various forms. Right. We can have fortified milk, like I think we are fortified.
Yes, I see one here. Oh yeah, there's
A and D.
Yes.
Yeah. So you find sometimes if you cannot entirely get it on meals, you can go through the fortified foods or supplementations if really necessary, so that you make sure you get enough. Yeah.
And what are the sources of vitamin D, especially and C, when it comes to the foods now, and not on milk?
Now, dietary forms of vitamin D, for example, comes with cod liver oil is a very good source. Okay. Fatty fish, cod liver oil, those are very good source of vitamin D. Now, and of course, sunshine. Sunshine is the natural source of vitamin D.
Yes.
Yeah, because vitamin D is synthesized by the skin and produced by the body. But also when you consume protein-rich foods, also you get vitamin D. Now, and that's why you see most of the time, when children are growing up, we find children are encouraged to use cod liver oil. I think most of us even when we're growing up use that because of that rich component of vitamin D, so that our bones can become much tougher to take us through our adulthood and to elderly.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when it comes to the portioning of the same, I know you talked about it a little bit, but sometimes parents will be like, no, they're taking too much of it, or maybe they're taking less of it, or sometimes not even taking it at all. What would be the telltale signs that say this child is deficient of, say, vitamin D, or calcium? What are some of the signs that parents can look out? You talked about the bone density and, and how I'd be like, a bit scientific, but like just looking at a child, how would you know that, say, this one,
is a problem?
Yeah.
All right. For the bone, it's easy. You find children who they face injuries all the time. Then they're always falling. When you're always falling down, it means your bones are kind of weak. Yeah. Either they're falling too much, or they are having a lot of muscle injuries. And even so, if they have an injury, it takes time to heal. That's another one.
Okay.
Another one, you find muscle weakness. You find that people or children who cannot stand for long. If they stand, either they cannot withstand it. So it shows there's insufficiency of both vitamin D and calcium. Okay. So at that point, as a parent, then you need to, to supplement, to work to make sure that you correct the deficiency. Yeah.
Okay. And some of the diseases that then can arise from the deficiency in itself, and especially in children and young athletes?
Okay, for children is rickets. Now, rickets, for children we call it rickets, in the elderly we call it osteoporosis. So that means there's a problem either in the vitamin D and calcium in your bones. Okay. So if it's not corrected early enough, it's what now graduates to osteoporosis later in life. Yeah. Another one is fractures. You find kids who they are not resistant to fractures because ideally, if your bone is so strong, you're supposed to adapt to physical injuries, and you are supposed also to resist fractures. But if you don't have, then you get to often suffer a lot of fractures. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And the biggest question for so many parents will be like, you see kids, I mean, they fall, they go through these processes and sometimes don't even seek help because we assume that kids will heal faster and they'll be okay. But this is not the case for so many, children.
Yeah.
So say at home, what are some of the things that parents can do to either prevent or help in the healing process, even if they've sought help or not?
All right. So some of the ways is, okay, one and basic, it's good to expose your child to sunlight, to sunshine. That's the most basic, because it's the natural way. And usually we say, just an exposure to sunlight for 15 to 20 minutes is enough. Yeah. That's enough for your skin to synthesize the vitamin D.
In the morning, in the evening, during the day?
Usually about daybreak, it's a good time.
Okay.
Yeah. But also that becomes a challenge with the kind of lifestyles we live these days. Most of us live in skyscrapers. You know, the sun has been blocked. Yeah. Sometimes, the kids, the games they do play, for those who play indoor games, there's no that luxury of the sunshine and stuff. Yeah. Let the child consume foods that are rich in vitamin D, and also and also calcium. Yeah. Now, at the same time, you can also advise the parent to initiate fortified food to the child. When you say fortified, we have milk, for instance, is one of the fortified food. Yeah. We have, for example, you look at the plant-based milk. These are fortified for those kids who may be suffering from milk allergy, or kids who are lactose intolerant. Yes. They can use the plant-based. Yeah. So they have different, options that they can use. Now, we can also do supplementation in the case of buying cod liver oils for the kids to consume, because again, those will work on the bones and make them stronger. So it's good for the parent to look out for these symptoms. Now, what happens, one thing that parents should know, these deficiencies are not good. Because what happens is that when a child is deficient of vitamin D, remember vitamin D is important for calcium absorption in the body. Yeah. So when the vitamin D is low, your calcium also levels goes low. Yeah. And the body goes into a mechanism where it tries to do what we call, it reabsorbs the calcium in the bone. You see, okay, I don't know how best I can put it. Like you see, you already have your natural bone, right? Yes. Which has calcium naturally, because that's where calcium is found. Yeah. But in case your calcium levels in your body is low, see, the body has to act naturally. So what it will do, it will come and try to cover that missing calcium from the existing bone in your body. Yes. So it will take up.
Sort of like it's up.
Exactly. Yeah. So when it does that, it makes your bone even weaker. So your bone density continues to decrease and decrease and decrease. Yeah. It makes it much weaker.
Yeah. And prone to this condition.
And see, that also will expose the child to later problems. So those are some of the dangers that we don't want the children to get into. So it's good to start checking their diet as early as now.
We see some teenagers taking coffee now, and it's so interesting because it's like taking coffee makes you look cool. Okay? Yeah. And some of them will indulge excessively. How much of a danger is this, and what are some of the ways that then they can limit the intake of coffee and focus on, say, beverages or drinks that will contribute to one's bone health?
All right. No, first of all, coffee is not bad. Coffee also has its advantages. Yes. But now here we are talking about adults. We are talking about 18 years, 20 plus. Yeah. And if these are children who are athletes or engaging in active sports, what we are saying that excessive intake is what is detrimental to the calcium in the body. Yeah. Because see, we are saying for bone health, we have vitamin D, which is very important. We have calcium, which is very paramount. Yeah. And phosphorus as well. Yeah, now phosphorus now is the problem. When excessive intake of coffee and soda, and to be specific, the cola, they have a negative impact on the calcium balance. Okay. And when calcium levels has been reduced, definitely your vitamin D also will be affected, and all the other parameters. Yeah. So your bone density will go much lower, to be much weaker, and the integrity of the skeletal muscle will also be affected. So ideally, it's not good for an athlete, or any adult for that matter, when taken in excess.
Okay, so beyond then vitamin D, beyond calcium, beyond phosphorus, what are some of the other nutrients that are essential for bone health, both for young people and the children as well?
Okay, we have magnesium as well. Magnesium is very important. Of course, 60% of magnesium also found in the bones. Okay. And magnesium plays a key role in about 300 enzymatic reactions in our body. So it's also very important. Okay. We also have vitamin K, we have zinc, also very important. But then we have also one micronutrient, not micro, but macro, which is protein. Yes. Very key for bones. And why is protein very key? Protein as an organic compound we are calling collagen. Collagen is part of the bone, and collagen is ideally proteins. So if you look at what we are discussing today, what we are simply saying, if you really want to work on your bone density, then your micronutrient profile has to be complete. Okay. You cannot take one and leave the other. So your food has to be nutrient dense. So you have to have your whole grain, your fruits and vegetables, your healthy fats, water, of course, and the protein, carbohydrates, and salt. So it has to be complete.
Very balanced, yes.
Because if it's not balanced, it's easy to miss one and get another.
And or focus more on one.
On one and not get another. Because remember, our cooking method also is a determinant. So it has to be complete. Now, I know one of the questions people may ask, what are the data resources of this? Now, if you look at calcium, which we have said it's one of the most abundant minerals in the body, most of it in bone and teeth, we have animal sources and plant sources of calcium. Okay. Now, animal sources, we divide it into two. We have dairy source and we have non-dairy. Okay. Now, dairy sources are the richest source of calcium, and they're easily absorbed. Now, dairy sources are milk. Yes. In whatever form, whether it's yogurt, whole milk, whether it's fat-free, low-fat, in whatever form. Then you have cheese, buttermilk. Yes. So any form of dairy is a good source of calcium. In fact, the richest and the most easily absorbable. All right. Then when you come to non-dairy, we look at small fish, omena. Omena is a good source of calcium. That's another one. All right. Then when we come to plant sources, we have legumes. Legumes, we have beans, lentils, all these cowpeas. Yeah. Then we have green leafy vegetables. There's our skumas, our broccolis, our spinach. Although spinach, we mention it with something.
Bit of caution.
Yeah, because spinach is rich in calcium, but it has something we call oxalate. Okay. Now, that oxalate binds the calcium in spinach. So when you take it, you not get as much calcium. So which means if spinach is on your meal, make sure you have other sources of calcium, and dairy becomes the best milk because you'll get most of it. Okay. Yeah.
So it's not just about what you're giving your child, it's also how you're pairing and the balancing, part of it, which is, I would say, it's one of the strategies, right? Yes. And you talked about exposure to sunshine as well, which is important. What are some of the other strategies that you would advise parents? So that's, again, because like we said, the key is balance. What are some of the strategies that you would advise parents to also employ? Yeah.
Then another one which I missed, are another fortified options. And of course, even supplementation may be allowed. Yeah. Now, the only danger of supplementation, you find people may overuse. Supplements usually have milligrams in it. So if you don't check the strength of the supplements you're taking, we may end up taking excess, which may lead to nutrient toxicity. Okay. So again, for that, you need to see a nutritionist to be well guided. Yeah. And in fact, even the issue of coffee, like I said, excess is relative. And that's why nutrition plans are usually individualized. Yes. So you come and see a nutritionist, then they will advise you as per your own needs and genetics and stuff. So maybe what I may be advised may be different from you. My excess level may be different from yours.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. And then when we talk about athletes, again, it's different because say we have a golfer, and then we have a footballer, and then we have one who goes runs marathons and all those things. So I want to believe their needs are different because the sport is also different, right? But then what is like the common say nutritional needs for them, and especially when we're talking about foods that are rich in vitamin D and calcium as well. Yeah.
Now, the nature of sport may not be really an issue.
Okay.
Because see, once you engage in whatever sports, you are physically active.
Okay.
The level of activity is the same.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because a golfer is like, and then the other one is like.
Do you know even golfer use a lot of energy?
Okay.
Because remember, there's a lot of swinging,
and
turning of the
movement,
then
and
you know the ground resistance of the ball and everything.
Yeah.
So you use a lot of energy. Marathoners use a lot of energy. So if you really do a calculation of the energy they are using, it's more or less the same.
Okay.
And that's why even dietary recommendations, we use the same. For example, we say if you are an athlete, a young athlete, whatever sports you play, but that you use a lot of energy, we recommend about 10 to 20% more energy above the normal.
Okay.
Yeah. So that, for example, for a child maybe 10 years who's very active, that would be about 1,800 to 2,000 kilocalories per day.
All right.
And that same can be taken by an adult who's active.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, as we bring this to a close, for those children who would say have allergies, right? Say like one has an allergy to milk, for example, and like you said, especially for dairy, is very important and very rich in calcium. Yes. So then, what are the alternatives, you know, for children who have allergies? As we bring this to a close.
Oh yeah, children who have allergies, we have plant-based option, plant-based milks. Soy being one of the best, oats is here, and almond. Those are rich sources. In fact, they have all the nutrients that are available in milk. So if you have milk allergy, which means you cannot take milk in any form, or dairy in any form for that matter, then you can use your plant-based milk.
Plant-based, yeah.
And also you can use fortified food. One of the fortified foods is maize flour. You know, maize flour is fortified with vitamin A and D these days, so you can use that.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Well, thanks, George, for coming. Always giving us all the you know, insights that we need to have as far as our health and general health is concerned. So for now, we have to say goodbye and thank you so much to you, and thank you as well to Brookside Plus for sponsoring today's episode. Remember, it's Brookside Plus, Live Life Plus. Time now for you to take a look at this health tip.
On today's health tip, we focus on sleep. Sleep is very important when it comes to this mother breastfeeding adequately. The body needs to rest and also rejuvenate. So our cells are made, use a certain rhythm. So for us to achieve the best benefits, we should have at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep. This will make sure that the mother is well rested, has enough milk, reduce stress, because sleep plays a major role in ensuring the health of a mother. So 6 to 8 hours is recommended.
Well, understanding how bone health is important, and not just in adulthood, but also when it comes to our children and young adults, it's imperative that then we balance the nutrition that we are giving them, and especially when we're talking about vitamin D and calcium, which is very important when it comes to bone health. But hey, if you have any other question, our social media handles are down at the bottom of your screen. My name is Winnie Lubembe. A special thanks to Arobisca Training Center for hosting us today. Until next Sunday, adios.
Diary was brought to you by Brookside Dairy Plus. Live Life Plus with Brookside.
Brookside Plus probiotic yogurt provides you the goodness of good bacteria for a healthy gut and a good immune system.